What's up, everybody? This is Greg with Delta, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming Miss Jennifer Pilates. Jennifer, how are you?
I am fabulous, Greg. How are you? I'm so pumped to be here.
I'm so pumped to have you here. We had a nice little chat beforehand, just talking about business and our websites and like all kinds of like administrative stuff that no one really likes to talk about, but we're geeking out.
Totally geeking out on it. I've never met someone that loves to build websites like I do.
It's fantastic. Maybe we can talk about it more. Who knows? For those of you that don't know who Jennifer is, Jennifer has been transforming clients' body, mind, and spirits worldwide for over 20 years as a celebrity trainer plus empowerment mindset coach. Internationally renowned intuitive medium, author, and host of the top-rated podcast, Host Empowered Within, Jennifer is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, detail-loving, stubborn as heck achiever, unshakable, optimistic, philanthropic, self-care activist, fur baby mama, and ocean-loving intuitive empath. From her coaching to training, from her advising to writing, to her top-rated podcast, Empowered Within, Jennifer has been leaving her inspirational, empowering, and transformational touch on clients and celebrities worldwide for well over 2 decades. Jennifer, I think that we're going to have a fantastic time talking. I'm all about mind, body, spirit. I was telling you, I started my coaching business, and it's a comprehensive fitness. It's mind, body, spirits by getting all those in alignment. I'm big on fitness. I feel like for me is like fitness is the gateway to start into that, to like, cause it's the easiest thing, our mind, body, spirits are intricately linked. Right. And you let one of those go, it's like an anchor that's just pulling down the others. And out of the three of them, it's real hard to change spirit, right? And sometimes your mind, but it's easy to change your body. Eat more, or eat less, move more, drink more water. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you start to make that change, it has this kind of transcendent effect to your mind. And as your mind changes, you start to have this like inner faith and belief in yourself, which change your spirit. And then everything kind of gets in alignment as long as there's some consistency and discipline there.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's, for me, it's always been the pathway was Pilates. That was the gateway, right? The gateway drug.
Look at that. We're
Totally,
basically brother and sister right now.
Really, like it was the gateway drug. Like I may have stumbled upon it through a traumatic car accident, but it was one of the best blessings of my life that changed everything, that truly brought me into my body. After the accident, there was a key doctor. I saw numerous doctors about 8 hours a day. And the one said to me, you have never lived in your body. And at the time, I didn't understand what that statement meant. Like, I knew that probably wasn't a good thing, and I didn't quite get it. But to this day, it's so empowering to know that, you have to live in your body. And why wasn't I living in my body, right? There were so many things at that point to peel back above and beyond the car accident. So at that point, I was just trying to survive. And then later, throughout the years, it became, well, why wasn't I living in my body? And why do I choose to try to check out, so to speak, not leave the earth, but, numb out.
Mentally check out.
Like, I don't want to be here. This is triggering me. I'm not going to deal, like, peace out kind of thing. And that's huge when you can acknowledge it. And I tell all my clients, like, that's the first thing, is to acknowledge, like, yeah, I kind of do this, whatever that is. And then you've got to rein it in, and you've got to work through those triggers. And I always work with my clients going, really to the root of something, and getting to the root, which is usually on the subconscious level, being aware of it. How can we literally rip that out from the root and replace it with what's supposed to be there? So that links to your mind, body, spirit, so that now that belief, that mindset shift can really happen, and you can release the blockages, because that surely has been affecting all areas of your life, both personally and professionally. And so I always tell people, it could be just one small stone, but when you throw that into a pond, the ripple effect is amazing.
And it goes far wider than you could ever imagine.
Exactly. And that's how healing works. And that's how working on the mind, body, spirit really is. It's that ripple effect throughout everything.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to most people, and myself included, when I was not in alignment, I was living in the past. I was living in like past situations that happened to me that upset me, or this grief, anxiety, even shame, right?
Mhm.
And you just this replays over and over again. But there's something powerful when you can identify it, but put it on paper. Like,
Mhm.
what is bothering me, and then what's the worst case scenario? What's my biggest fear from this? And like really like dig deep and be like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then
Exactly.
and writing this out, and then being like, and then what?
Mhm.
And then what? And then what? And just keep going down the rabbit hole. And then
Mhm.
what you find is that like it always ends to where everything's going to be okay. Like it's not going to be the end of the world, right? And then your mind can like actually make those connections, that what's replaying in your head over and over, this loop that you're in, that there is a pathway out, right? Because when you just let that loop play, your mind doesn't make those connections, because
Right.
like your ego mind's in control, and it wants to be in control, right? It wants to sit there and just wallow in it. And I know, like I have a friend, I was talking to her, and she has a friend, and she was telling me about her friend's situation. And she was like, man, it's so difficult talking to her, because she just I mean, a terrible situation happened. She was like, she just wants to talk about it. It's been like 3 weeks now. She just keeps talking about it and talking about it. She's like calling me and just talk and still talking about it. She was just like, I stopped. I had to like start avoiding her calls, because that's all she wants to talk about. It's just like, at some point
Mhm.
you have to stop living in the past and be like, okay, so now what? What are we going to do? How are we going to get out of it? And writing it out, such a powerful practice that you can do to take away the power that it has on your mind. Or something
Absolutely.
that happens. So
It's a release. It's a release, and it's a way to put it out into the universe and let the universe take care of it at that point. It's sort of like everything that you write, whether it's you are stressed and you're writing that in your journal to release your thoughts, or you're sitting there and it's becoming a gratitude moment where everything that you're grateful for, you're writing for. And
yeah,
then it shifts to everything that you want to come into your life, you're writing for. That's really your journal with the universe. And
yeah,
so it's allowing things to come out of your time and space to give it to the universe to say, here, work on this. I've done what I can.
yeah.
This is where I'm at.
And that's a keen observation, that once you start writing those, even the negative stuff, like writing out, you get used to writing, and now you can kind of transition to like, hey, where do you want to be? Like,
Mhm.
how do we go from here to where you want to be? And then you start to paint that picture of that ideal world that you want to live in, and then you start writing it as if it's already happening. Then you start showing this gratitude, and you can start writing that stuff out. And these are all very powerful practices, but it starts somewhere, right? You
It
have to.
has to start somewhere.
Yeah,
And it's something that goes on every day, right? You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. The other day I literally was having a situation in my own head, my life, and there was fear around it, right? Why was there fear around it? There was fear of the unknown. And
mhm,
so, I was going through the scenario in my head as I'm cleaning because that felt good, right? Like I'm trying to move the energy through me. And then I said, well, wait a minute. What if? What if it works out? What if it's better than you could ever imagine?
mhm,
And literally that shifts your mindset. So I always work with clients and say, the moment that you're getting in the rabbit hole, hold on a minute and go, wait, what if? Because the moment you do that, you're just stopping that thought in its tracks, and you can change the trajectory of your thought, because everything is down to a mindset shift. And it is your choice if you want to sit and you want to wallow for hours and days and months, or if you want to say and begin a program of, okay, shit's going down, this is bad, let's acknowledge it for what it is. Give yourself, do you need 5 minutes? Do you need a half an hour? What do you need to get it out of your system? And then let's shift it. And so I've gotten myself down to, I think it's like 90 seconds I give myself. And I think I stole that from the Navy SEALs. Like they give themselves
yeah,
90 seconds to like be pissed off, whatever it is. But here's the flip side, everyone. This is going to blow your mind. They also do that for happy moments too. It's
yeah,
only 90 seconds.
yeah.
But that's important because everybody, you gloss over that and no one really acknowledges, the good stuff is like the next thing, the next thing. And it's like, no, you acknowledge both equally, and then you can move on.
Yeah. I find so have you ever read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Oh yeah.
Such a
Have it on
great
my
book.
desk.
It's so phenomenal. It's such a great book. I like the practice. You know, after I read it, one, that book is transformative. If you haven't read it, for
It's
everyone
so
listening,
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. But I found that once I read it, when I have a moment that I'm feeling negative, any kind of negative emotion, that's not in line with the present, with the present, you know, me being present or surrendering to the present. I put myself in my mind and I like watch myself like I'm a third party, like I'm watching that thought. And I just be like, okay, this thought, this is happening, or this is the
Mhm.
situation, not assigning a positive or negative, but like, where do I want to go from here? It makes it way easier for me to look at it as a third party and
Mhm.
then come up with a solution and actually like be creative in the process instead of just negative and negative and negativity or ultra positive. Just be like, oh, this is great. Cause then you're not thinking about, hey, guess what? This too shall pass. The
Right.
change is inevitable. The one constant is change. And so the good times will go away and the bad times will go away. But
Right.
it's always going to be an ebb and flow. That's what harmony is all about. And so, no, it's that's very similar in nature. But you're right, the Navy SEALs do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and it took a while and it still takes practice,
Yeah.
but boy, like I want to say I've almost gotten it down to a science now because and the thing is it's not about, you don't focus on, you know, wallowing in the moment. It's recognizing
Mhm.
that you are going down a rabbit hole and then going, wait, what if? And I had to keep going rounds. I'm not saying that in 5 minutes I was like, oh, it's going to be freaking fabulous. No, like I kept saying to myself, okay, so this is what you think is going to happen and go wrong or AWOL, whatever. Okay, but what if A, B, and C happens?
Mhm.
So you become your own best coach. You become, you know, you're working yourself through this and you're guiding yourself through that moment. And I always encourage people to remember fear is excitement without breath. And everything in that moment that I was going through was really excitement, but it was like, and I was like, oh my God, like breathe, girl, breathe. And so it's just getting to know yourself, honoring yourself, and most importantly, having grace with yourself
Mhm.
and just being conscious of everything that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Being present, being in the now.
Exactly.
Too often people are looking to the past and
Hmm.
then they're looking to the future based off the past and they're painting this future that doesn't
Right.
exist yet based off of how the past has been for them.
Right. Because you only know what you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
And so,
fantastic.
yeah, as you go forward, now I always tell people, like, look, I don't know what I don't know till I know.
Yeah.
Like, and then, okay, and then you can move forward. So, and I always say, like, if you're bumping up against a wall, if everything is no, 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 there's nothing opening up, it's not time. Step away. And I always say, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
You know, just take a step back and go, is there another way?
Mm.
I've been so focused on A, I totally forgot about the rest of the alphabet. And 9 times out of 10, there's something easier, there's something quicker, there's something that is more in flow and more in alignment
Yeah.
with yourself.
And
Because
there's
9
probably signs that are being shown to you that
oh,
are
100%,
it's
yes.
like, hey, this way is a cliff. This way is the path. And you're just like, well, this is the path. I gotta go. And you're just
But
like
I'm going.
you're so honed and laser focused on that way. And you're
Mhm.
just keep bumping up. And the universe is like putting barricade upon barricade upon barricade to keep it instead of just looking at the path that actually keeps coming up. Cause you're like, well, that doesn't go where I wanted to go. It probably does. You just don't know.
Well, and it's funny you should say that. So I have, like, this big major move coming up in my life. And so, of course, I thought of these great, wonderful, amazing places I would move to because I've lived all over, and so now I'm running out of places. And the one place I thought, oh, it's going to be great. You know, it's checking off every box, but I kept getting shown this other place. And I'm like, and significantly so, like to the point that like it was ridiculous. Like how many signs, how many license plates, how many random people I'm meeting in random areas from that place. I mean, it was absurd. And so finally I just started laughing. And when I sat back and I said, okay, universe, what's the deal? And they were like, sometimes what you don't want or what you think you don't want is exactly what you need.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going. That's the place. That's all I need. I just need it, like, spell it out for me. And
Yeah.
I think, and I encourage people, like, work with yourself, work with your higher self. If you believe in, God and angels and whatever, Oprah, Dalai Lama, whomever. I don't care if you're talking to freaking like Ted the teddy bear. Talk to someone, believe in something bigger than yourself, because I'm not all that in a bag of chips. And neither is Greg. Maybe some days we are. But, all the time we can't be. And when you have something that is bigger than you, and that you know that and feel that energy around you, whatever your belief is, that's powerful. And when you have a connection to it, how special and how amazing are you, because you are equally as powerful.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so
And we
true.
forget it. We forget how freaking amazing we are and how powerful we are, right?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And like, um, the great thing is that when you go through this alignment process and you start to, it's almost like you unlock these hidden levels within yourself,
Mhm.
like for me, it started with physical, and when I was very consistent, when I started doing it, even, and it was like the days that I didn't want to do it, that I was like, man, I just want to relax, want to do this at the other. And then this thought would just come like, nope, you committed. You said you're going to do this, right? And I'm like, okay, and I do it. Those are the days where like breakthroughs. And it
Mhm.
would, and like it was like my mind. It was like I was depositing a massive amount into my mind at that point. And then I would literally like feel this growth within me, right? And it was like I'm unlocking these areas of my mind over time,
Right.
and over time it's like this alignment process. Everything just starts to come together, and you start to realize, man, the amount of abilities and powers and potential and greatness that I have within myself is unbelievable.
Right. If only we looked inward more. Too often we just focus on the outer world, and
Mhm.
we allow the outer world to dictate our circumstances.
Yep.
When in reality, there's a much bigger world within each one of us. And we can choose to, you know, walk that fine line between both worlds. And I had one of those days yesterday where it was like a crazy horrific moment and then the most amazing magical moment. And it was all day like that. And I was like, this is so crazy. Like, what world am I in? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't in either world. I was literally just parallel walking through these magical, horrific moments as if it was like a landmine. And it just brought out to just a beautiful day. Now,
Mhm.
somebody else might have went, holy mackerel, you dealt with all that. And yeah, okay, so there was some spilled milk. But I mean, did it ruin the day? No, you clean it up and you keep going.
Yeah.
And, it's just key. The key is just going inward and really sitting with yourself. And I think that that's incredibly hard for people to do,
That
to
is the
sit
key.
and get to know themselves, because you're told by everyone else from the time you were a itty bitty little kid, like basically who you are, or what you should be doing, or where you're going, and where you're going to go to school, and what you're going to eat, and everything, what time you're getting up, what time you're going to bed. And this is, some people just stay incredibly programmed. And then some people are able to see, well, wait, maybe there's something more. And then there are those people that actually step through that door and go, oh my gosh, there's something so magical and something so much bigger here.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It's sitting and understanding yourself. And some people are afraid of it.
It's hard.
It is hard. I was afraid of it back, back before I started my personal development journey. And it was a lot of shame from past actions that I was ignoring. It was a lot of pain, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and I didn't want to face it. I just wanted to shove into a little tiny box and just tuck it
Mhm.
away in the corner. Just be like, I'm good.
Right.
But what that did is it caused me to continue to do actions in order to feel loved, in order to avoid being alone.
Mhm.
So I had these dependency issues, right? So anytime I was alone, I was like, nope, don't like this. And I'm trying to like find somebody to
Right.
fill that void very quickly,
Mhm.
because I'm like, if I don't get somebody here, this box in the corner is going to explode.
Right.
I don't want that to happen. So
No, like I might have to sit here and talk to myself. So, hey, you over there, the
yeah,
grocery store, come here. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just causes downward like a
Mhm.
spiral of toxic relationships. And eventually, like one time, it was like toxic relationship after toxic relationship. And then my buddy, a real good friend of mine, Kevin's like, dude, you got a type, bro. It was like always these crazy women. And then something happened, and finally it was like, dude, I think I'm the problem. It's like,
Well, what's
it's,
the common denominator for everyone listening? If you
like,
think that you're dating crazy people, you are the common denominator.
yeah,
So,
I think I'm the problem here.
right? Like we attract what we are. We attract what we're vibrating, whether
Yeah.
that's personally in a relationship, whether that's work. And so that's when you got to go, hold on a minute. I need to be changing the radio station here. We need to be changing this frequency because this is a little batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but it takes time, and everything that you're saying, like, this is par for the course. I feel like for all of us, we've all been through that. Anyone that's growing up, everyone, I don't know anyone that hasn't had some sort of trauma. It's very different for each and every, human being, but it needs to be acknowledged. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it's something that you feel is small because of A, B, and somebody else has gone through something that you feel is so much bigger. But at the end of the day, all emotions are equal and they're all valid and they're all very important.
Yeah. So to kind of simplify this, I read something. I can't remember who wrote it. It was, well, I know the book was read, but he was referencing somebody else. I don't know who he's referencing. So I can't remember off the top of my head. But because a lot of times people hear like the whole like the spiritual and the universe, they're like, oh, that's like a bunch of hippie shit. And I'm like, believe me, I used to feel the same way. But I'm telling you, the metaphysical science is real. The shit's real. Like
Mhm.
you can literally manifest what it is that you want in your life when you tap into your own greatness. However, think about it like this: in any archetypal story, right, or any kind of story, there's four archetypes, right? There's the victim, there's the villain, there's the hero, and then there's the guide.
Right.
Okay. So the victim is the person that needs help, that is helpless, that always needs something, right? Always complaining. This is the person that's just like, oh, poor woe's me. The villain and the hero are actually both have the same origin story. They have something terrible that happens to them that causes them to react. Their reactions are different. Where the villain's like, I've been hurt, I'm going to pay somebody back.
Mhm.
The hero's like, I've been hurt, I'm going to make sure that nobody else faces this.
Right.
And I'm going to try to fix this. Right. So they both have the same origin story. And then the guide is the person that's been the hero long enough to where they become a mentor to the hero to guide them on their journey.
Mhm.
And so I think at any time in life, and all of us have been each one of those archetypes.
Absolutely.
Each one of it, we've all been a victim at times. We've all been a villain at times. We've all been hurt and then want to, even if it's something simple, somebody cuts us off, we got to go cut them off and go honk our horn and flip them off, right? We got to pay them back because they got to know they pissed us off or
They
cut
do that
us
down
off.
there in Texas? I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know, right? Or for me it was, my previous marriage. I was married once, and I was when I was in the military, and she cheated on me, and so I had to cheat on her back, right? And when we got divorced, I held on to that, like, well, she cheated on me first. Yeah, but I could have chose a different action. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of things I could have done that would have saved that marriage, right? And now because of that, we have kids together, and now we're in 2 different states, and now my time with my kids is split, and we both have split time, right? And so, um, you know, hopefully, some people get stuck in the victim villain stage, and they never recognize where they're at in order to transition to becoming a hero and saying, you know what, I'm tired of this bad stuff happening. Like this bad stuff happens and I pay him back, and bad stuff happens, I pay him back, or bad stuff happens and I need help, and bad stuff. And they stay in those two, and they never have that self realization that, like, man, I'm the problem. I want to make sure this doesn't happen anymore. I'm going to fix this, right? And transition to a hero, get a guide, get a coach, right? That shows them the way. And then eventually they do that path, and then they're like, okay, I understand now. And now they tap into their own greatness. They're like, I want to help other people. Let me become a guide as well.
Right. Right.
So
Your best coaches, your best mentors have all been through hell and back again. And that's why they're so great.
and they understand the path. They're willing to go back into darkness because they're like, yeah, this is comfort. I've been here before.
I've been there. Right, right. I've been there.
Yeah,
I can go back in there. I've been down that road. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
So this is great. This is good. So how long have you been a coach for?
Gosh, well, pretty much as long as I've been a Pilates trainer. So you can say
Okay.
2 decades because they go very much hand in hand.
Okay.
It's sort of like for those people that don't understand, if anyone that's had personal training, you get it. You're telling your trainer everything. You go to the hairdresser, you tell them everything. You come to the Pilates trainer. I know everyone's story. I know everything. And that's why I've always been someone who is very protective of my clients. Client confidentiality is very important to me. And so I've never really shared who I've worked with over the years. And people always ask. And I just, you know,
I didn't even thought to.
yeah, no, people always do. And I'm like, there you can see on my website, like there's just like, as far as the athletes and things that I've trained, I'll put up their team logos, but I'll never, mention a single person. And if they want to, that's up to them because there's so much when you're training that comes out emotion wise, right? Every dis-ease we have in the body relates back to an emotion, which relates back to some sort of trigger because of a situation that transpired. So it's one big happy and unhappy flow of energy. And so it's all about releasing blockages. And so every session really turned into some sort of coaching, which then birthed just the entire coaching program itself.
Mhm. That's fantastic. So, because I'm curious, I'm just recently like I've been coaching people for a long time too. I was coaching soldiers in the military, and then when I started my journey, when I started in sales, I started getting really good at sales, and people would just come to me like, "Hey, can you help me?" And I would coach people in sales and leadership just from my time in the military and all the experiences I had. And then when I started my personal development journey and I started making a huge transition, people just noticed and they're like, dude, there's something different about you. Like you just have a different energy, like you just seem happier. How are you doing this? And I was just like, let me tell you. And I started helping people and coaching them. And eventually I got to the point I was like, you know what? I want to do this for more people. I want to do this wide. So I ended up launching Delta Fit. And so by the time this airs, Delta Fit will be many months in the making. But I just recently launched it last month. It was in March. And because I see there's so many people out there that millions of people that are going through some kind of trauma, anxiety. Anxiety is the number one mental condition in the United
Mhm.
States.
And
45%.
have you ever looked at the date as to when that actually ticked up?
Oh yeah, it's been since like the
It's
late
it's
20.
been since the iPhone came out or smartphones, sorry, Apple. Since smartphones came out, that was the tick up of anxiety and
Anxiety.
depression.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like 45% of Americans are treated with anxiety.
Right, and I promise you that there's a huge amount of those people that is not, in fact, what's really going on with them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But that's what
100%.
they're called, that's what they're diagnosed.
Yeah.
So now they have a label on them. So now that becomes a belief, and now I
And it becomes
believe.
an identifying factor.
Yes.
This is who I am. I can't do it. I got anxiety. If you don't got anxiety, bro, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Let's go outside and get some vitamin D.
Yes.
Let's go.
Can we
Let's go
please get up?
outside and let's get some exercise. Let's get some endorphins. Let's get
Mhm.
some natural dopamine in your system, not the
Yes.
dopamine from your phone or from TV or from clicking or from anything else.
Right.
Let's produce some natural dopamine from exercise. You'll
Mhm.
feel a lot better,
Yep.
and then we'll have a conversation afterwards.
100%. Every time. Every time. Get outside, breathe the air, leave your phone behind, get away from all the radiation and so on and so forth that's in our homes and all around us.
Yep.
Get outside and breathe. Even if you just go outside for a walk. I mean, we're not even asking for a lot from anyone. Just go
Yeah.
outside for a walk.
Yeah.
You're going to improve your entire health, body, mind, and spirit just from walking. I mean,
Daily.
how sad is that in knowing that I feel like we might be around the same age? Like growing up, like you go outside, you play.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, if the sun was out, your ass better
Yeah.
be
Outside. I was
outside.
outside the
Outside.
whole time
Yes.
riding
Yes.
bikes, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, like, now you look and it's just so sad to me. everything is so sedentary and no one wants to do anything and no one is motivated. And this will blow your mind. I actually did an interview with a gal the other day on my podcast, and we were talking, and she said, no one is supposed to retire. No one is supposed to just go and sit on their ass on a beach. And I said, do tell. And she said, really, if you line up your life every 30 years, you're supposed to be making a new plan for your next 30 years. You rest when you take your last breath. You keep going. She's like, we were programmed. Why? Because it's an easier way to get people out the door and off the planet quicker. And it went much more deeper than what I'm sharing. But I thought, oh, how fascinating that you should be looking at life in that way versus, oh, I'm retired now. Let me shoot, let me just go sit. She said, people think that, golf is activity. She said, that's not enough to keep people going. That's not a sense of purpose.
Yeah. It's purpose that keeps people going. You're absolutely right.
Right. It's the purpose that you need to keep going. And I just
I've met a lot of elderly people that like seem healthy. That I'm just like, dude, you're hopping and popping. Well, since I've been doing insurance, and every single one that's in their like 80s that are still like kicking it, they still have a purpose. And I'm like, hey, what's the secret? And they're like, I just never stopped. I just never stopped.
You don't stop. You just keep going. Yeah. That's why we're here. We're here on this place called Earth, which is the school of Earth, to learn. We're not here to just be. We're not here to have 9-to-5 jobs necessarily. We're here to experience and to learn and to educate and, soak up as much of this wild and crazy experience that we do like and don't like all at the same time, and embrace that and keep it going. I can't, like, someone said to me recently, like, do you think you would retire? And I'm like, from what? Like, I can't imagine a day not doing Pilates and not showing up to serve, whether that be coaching or readings or whatever that is, or writing a book or doing a podcast. Like, these are all things I love. Why would I stop?
It's your passion. Exactly. I feel the same way. I have, in my company in Delta Financial, I have a lot of agents that'll be like, Greg, how do you do so much? Because like, I'm like on the go. I'm like creating their company, and I'm still managing all these agents and doing trainings, doing the podcast. I work out twice a day, and I'm like active on my social media trying to inspire people. And they're like, and then agents will call me and I'll take calls and help and coach. And they're like, one person was like, dude, how do you do so much? I was like, I love what I do. Like I'm from the moment I wake up, I'm like go until the moment I go to sleep. And but I don't feel like it's work.
Right. And that's the key.
Yeah.
Is when you love what you're doing, you're not working, you're serving. And that's what you're here for.
Yeah. And here's the thing, for those of you, a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my purpose is. Your purpose and your passion is not going to just hit you one day. You're not going to sit around on your couch watching Netflix and being like binge watching whatever show and seeing somebody else do something and be like, oh man, that seems cool. That's my passion. That's my purpose. It doesn't work that way. You got to go out and do some activity. You got to go do something. And I'm telling you, just like Jennifer here is saying, it starts with physical activity to get your mindset going, to get the blood flowing, to release natural hormones that are going to, and do it consistently, build your discipline, build your confidence. And then what happens is that as you build your confidence, then you're like, you know what? It's like a switch flips in your mind. It's like, for instance, let's just simplify this. Let's say that you're a dirty person, that your house is a mess, your room's a mess. And you say, one day you're like, you know what? I'm just going to make my bed every single day. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to clean the house. I'm just going to make my bed, right? So you wake up every morning and you make your bed. It takes you a couple minutes. And what happens is when you do that consistently after about 30 days, it now becomes habit. And now your brain is like, well, you made that change. Maybe you're not a dirty person. Let's clean the room. And then you start cleaning the room. And then you start to do that and your room's clean and it feels good. And you're like, I'm not a dirty person. I'm going to clean the house. and then you start cleaning the house. And now the house is clean. And now you're like, and now your brain's like, you can change. You're not locked into this one position. What else can you do? Right. And then this world of opportunity opens up and you just start doing things. And it's like all these possibilities happen. And as you do things, the more things you do, there'll be things that you do like, oh, that was fun, but it's not really me, right? And that's fine.
Right.
But you're willing to try it. And then as you try more and more things, you'll find what it is that you're passionate about. You'll find what it is that is your purpose. But it starts with doing something. And physical fitness is such an easy way. Going outside, go walk for 45 minutes, go walk your dog. If you don't have one, then just go walk by yourself. Put on a podcast, listen to some positive shit, and go for a walk. It's not hard, right? And you're like, well, you know what? I got anxiety and I can't go outside, or I got high blood pressure or diabetes. Good, it's going to help it. Like go get some activity.
100%. You're going to feel 100% better, and within 30 days, probably be off. You could be off some of your meds potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, hands down, for sure. And it just, and just so people know too, I mean, your passion can find you.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was in a traumatic car accident and the universe was like hitting me upside the head. I was hardcore in the corporate world. I had all my ducks in a row and probably 12 other people's ducks in a row for them. And the universe was like, oh God, no. And so here comes, I call that fry pan moment or a 2x4 moment. And for me, it was a car ramming me from behind moment. And that changed the trajectory of my life. So, change usually happens out of fear and out of pain. So, let's just be clear. It's not always a happy time, but the most incredible things come out of hard times and trauma. Right? I always say there's a lesson and a blessing in everything if you're willing to step back for a moment and look for it. You've got rain, you're going to get a rainbow 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
Well, depending on where you live. Yeah. But, I mean, the sun will come out tomorrow. It's not perfect. It's messy. And in the mess is where the beauty is. So get messy about it. Go try different things. Just do something. I'll tell you, recently, the last few months, I've really been guided to pull off social media. And I've been doing some test trials with pulling off, like, did it really make a difference in my life and my business and this and that? And the truth was it did and it didn't. It didn't impact my business at all. Neither way. So check, that was lovely. However, for me personally, and my mindset, in my emotions and my body, I was a completely different person. I had more creativity than I ever had. I was doing way more in other areas than I ever had. And I felt like I was let out of jail. There was a huge moment for me. And so I caution people I challenge people to take breaks, take more breaks, because it really is, if you look at your phone and if you want to really get crazy, it looks like a jail cell. Look at the size of your phone. Look at all the cubes that are on your phone that are apps, right? Everything is a message. Everything is a sign. There are no coincidences. These are all ways to keep us all very, shall we say, distracted from what's going on around us. And so I encourage you and challenge you to put down your phone and start with 5 minutes a day and go for a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
And then see what that does for you, because our environment around us is what is creating the dis-ease within us.
Yeah, we're allowing the external world to affect our internal self.
And 90% of people don't realize it. You don't realize it because you're like, well, everyone else is doing this. I'm supposed to be doing this. And even the other day, I'm like, wait, since when am I the person that does what everyone else does? Never.
Yeah.
And so I immediately hook right over here. And I had the most incredible, amazing connection with an individual that I had been manifesting in my head. And boom, within 24 hours, there it was. It was pretty amazing. It was pretty spectacular. I got to say, I was pretty impressed with myself.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of lately. I'm a big fan of meditation for manifestation purposes, for active visualization, but also I don't know if you've ever heard of the Jose Silva method.
No.
So Jose Silva is this man from he's passed away now. I think it was like the early 1900s or like mid 1900s, 1920s, 30s, something like that. But he was an electrician, and his kids were not doing well in school, and
Okay.
they were hyperactive. And so he was a prior, he was in the army before, and he was always obsessed with the way that they did the psychological testing in the military. And so he used his knowledge of that, his knowledge of electricity, and realized that our brains were just electrical pathways. And with an electrical pathway, the higher the activity, the higher the frequency, the less information passes. And so he was trying to get to where his kids could get more information, so they're like literally lower their brain activity. And he started teaching them meditation, and he taught. This is where, and there's a lot of science, and there's people that I don't know if there's people that like confirm or deny, but he had discovered or said that he could find a way to take someone from their delta waves, which is you're awake. This is,
Mhm.
everyone's in delta waves right now, to your alpha waves, which is
Mhm.
like the moment right before you fall asleep. It's like, right, you're like, that's when you start to like realize you're falling asleep, or you start to dream.
Mhm.
And so he could basically take his kids to alpha waves. What he found was that they started to have certain abilities. So he would like give them information while they're in alpha state, and then they were able to remember it. But then they started doing it so much that he would ask them questions while they're in alpha state, and they started answering the questions before he asked it. Like he would think of the question, and then they would just answer the question before he even thought of it or said it out loud. And so he reached out, and this at this time, like ESP was a big thing, and so there was like the government was studying ESP, and so he reaches out to this university. He's like, "Hey, I think I taught my kids ESP," and they're like, "No, no, no, you couldn't have taught them. They had to have been. It's a gift. Like either you have it or you don't." And he's like, "I don't know." So then he starts doing it with all of his kids, and it's like across the board. Then he starts to tell the town he's in. It was in Laredo, Texas, in South Texas. So he starts to tell the town, and all these kids start to come in, and he's in all of them same exact scenario. And so he writes a book called The Jose Silva Mind Control Method. And basically there's all these different levels of alpha
Mhm.
that help you. And the method that he does to get you into alpha is actually pretty unique. But one of the things they do is like a healing technique. So like if you can almost see somebody, because we're all connected, right? And if somebody's sick, or you want to like bless somebody, then you see them in your mind's eye in your alpha state, and you can actually like scan them almost like,
Mhm.
and you could see if they're sick, or you could help to heal them where that sickness is, and provide energy to that location. So this is not even a joke. I'm being 100% dead honest here. So right now my admin's really sick, and it was out of nowhere. It was out of nowhere. Like she's super hard worker, always here, always on it. And one day she emailed me and my COO, and she was like, "I need a break." And it was like trailed off, and just like that was an email. And I was like, "What the hell's going on?" So I was like, let's reach out to her. So we couldn't get a hold of her. Next day she was like, "Hey, I'm really sick. I don't know what's going on." And I was like, "All right, well, we'll take your time, take care of yourself." And so I did a meditation session, and in my mind I scanned her, and I was like, "There's something wrong with her lungs, right? Something wrong with her lungs." And so I started providing everything, all energy I could to help her lungs. And literally 2 days later, she said, "I tested positive for COVID." And I never even thought of COVID, to be honest. I didn't think like, "Oh, she probably has COVID." Like I was in my mind, I was like, "Well, could it be stomach issues?" She didn't tell us anything of what was wrong. She didn't say like it could have been her head, stomach, anything,
Mhm.
but it was her lungs. And I was like, holy. And at that point, I was like, that's insane. They're like, so yeah, she should be coming back to work tomorrow. But um, like this stuff's real, you know. And so like when you see that kind of stuff and it like manifests in your life, and you're like, all right, I'm a believer. Let's go. Like there's
Right.
proof here, right? So
Right.
you
Right.
kind of
But for
like
you,
throw yourself in more.
yeah, like for you had to experience. And I'm sitting here giggling because before our session, I had myself in a Reiki healing meditation session.
Uh-huh.
And then my fur baby, she's had something in her eye all day. And I said, well, give it a couple hours. And I looked at her, I said, come here. I said, you want your Reiki? And she was like, mm-hmm. And so here I am. And I'm literally like giving her, looking at everything. I'm like, okay, it's just your eye. Let's get this going. And I said, okay, now by the time the podcast will be done, you're going to be healed. You'll be fine. Like what you're talking about, honestly, that's an everyday occurrence in my life between myself and clients or family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I'm a huge believer, and I believe that everyone has gifts within them. Not everyone is comfortable with them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Those that are, I encourage, this is the time you are being called up. Like, no joke, you are being called up. So if you're comfortable with your gifts, like Greg is jumping in full speed, like go for it and shine your light. And because we need you on deck now. Like, because
I just jumped in like head first, dove off the cliff, and I
I
was like,
love it.
let's
I love that.
go.
I so love that because I, mentor people who are so nervous,
Yeah.
and then, here I'm just like, I've gotten to the point I cannot even be in meditation. Like yesterday, my mom called me with something, bad going on in the family. And I was like, okay, I got this, and no one's even asking me to do anything. It's just, you send it and you just, let the universe do its magic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's pretty phenomenal.
It's very phenomenal.
Yeah, the more you do it, the more you
Yeah.
believe. And if there's anyone here that's like, this is a bunch of hokey bullshit, believe me, I know how you feel because I felt the same way. If you'd have rewound the clock 2 years ago, I'd have said the same exact thing.
Well,
But reach out. I would love to do a
yeah.
meditation session with you live, and I'm telling you, it'll change your mind.
Oh, it totally will. Well, and so here's another thing that has weight and validity to what you're saying. So what's very important in what you said about the book that this person wrote is he used the word mind control.
Yeah.
So many years ago, during a certain administration, there used to be rules that the government was not allowed to, and you'll know this very well, that they were not allowed to experiment on the human population, on the population of the United States. I'll just, talk about our country. Well, that was negated and it was taken off the books and they said, go for it. The amount of mind control that has been played out in the last 3 years, but literally since we were children,
Yeah, the last 20 years.
I mean, it's unreal. So if what we're saying sounds crazy, then I want you to look about and go, okay, you know what? How quickly did you shut the door on your house 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And you didn't ask any questions and you sat your ass down.
When I grew up, we never locked our doors.
Never.
Never.
Ever. No. I don't even know where the key was.
Yeah. We didn't have a key outside.
Did we have keys then?
It never happened.
Never. Ever.
So, yeah, no, absolutely.
Not the house, not the car. Didn't worry about we kind of worried about our water because we military family and we lived on the base. So that was a little thing. But we never worried about our food. We never worried about our meat. We didn't worry about our vegetables. We didn't worry about the air we were breathing.
Well.
What the hell? What the hell? But yeah, I mean, what we're talking about is something that's so amazing. And if you knew that you could have an amazing meditative session that is going to release the dis-ease that's within your body, even if you going into it skeptical, there's some piece of you that when you leave, you'll be like, huh,
at
there might be
peace.
something to this. You're going to be at peace. You're going to feel better, hands down, no matter what.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's little ways that you can try it and you can step into things. I mean, you can, just put your foot in the water too with, little meditations and then work your way up to bigger things. But it's amazing. I mean, I've worked with healers my entire life. And because my first half of my life, I was incredibly sick, always on medications. And the second half of my life now has been the complete opposite. Like, I won't take anything. I don't take anything. I
I'll yeah,
only I don't take vitamins. I only take whole food supplements, which is like what the NASA would provide, the freeze-dried fruits, vegetables, and so on and so forth. I There is nothing floating through my body. Like, nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
With this, Jennifer, this has been a great conversation. I hate to cut it short because I feel like we could talk forever.
I know. We probably could.
I got another podcast I got to record. I got to jump into. So, if anyone wants to connect with you or learn more about you, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is my website, jenniferpilates.com. That has everything about my podcast, my Pilates training programs, coaching, my book that came out, anything that you would like to continue this conversation, you can reach right out and I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. I feel like I got to have you on again just to dig in some more.
Oh, I think we could go down numerous rabbit holes, you and I.
Oh yeah, definitely. So last question I always ask my guests is, you have the opportunity to sit with, learn from, have a conversation with, break bread with 3 individuals, anyone in history, alive or deceased. Who are they and why?
Ooh. Okay. Well, the first one is I'm going to go with God.
Okay.
I believe in
Oh,
God.
that's a first. No one's ever said that. Everyone says Jesus.
I'm saying
Oh,
God.
yeah,
I'm
that's
going
good.
God. Like, I want to sit. I want to have a conversation. I want to sit. I want to learn. I want to know. I have fear in everything I want to learn and know, but I want to know.
Yeah.
So definitely God. Is That's an easy one for me. The other two are going to be a little harder.
That's a good one. No one's ever said that.
Like, I don't even know that I need two other people after God. Like, to be honest, that's who I want to sit down with. Like, I want to sit down with God and I want to have a chat.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, honestly, like, do I need two more?
Because I'm mind blown. I'm like, no one's ever said that. And I've never thought it'd be like, I wonder if someone's going to say God for, no. Like, you kind of blew my mind right now. That's good.
Right. I mean, where do you go from God, honestly? Like,
I mean,
you
saved that
can't,
for last.
I really like the other two. I mean, okay, then I'll take Archangel Michael
Yeah.
and I'll just stay on a roll and Archangel, let's see.
If I was going down the same role, not to take your third away, I would talk to Lucifer before the fall.
Yeah, no.
I would just to pick his brain.
You
and
would.
see.
You would.
I would
You
just to
would.
pick his brain and just to see,
I
like,
don't
why
need
does he feel this
to.
way?
I don't need to
Because he
because
was a favorite angel.
right. Right. Yeah. I think God could fill me in enough on that. I don't need to.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go there.
Or maybe right after the fall, like right after, like, hey, bro,
Oh
how do
yeah.
you feel now? How do you feel? Feel that's a good
Oh
decision?
no. You
You
know
feel that's a
who?
good decision?
Wait, I know who my other third person is going to be. Is I think oh, there's so many now. Now, like, I have so many flooding. So definitely God, Archangel Michael, and Poseidon of the sea. I'm going there.
Okay.
Those are my peeps.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on the podcast. This has been fantastic. This has been a great conversation. I love this. For those of you watching, we went all over the place. We took it like left, right. We went outside of the universe and we came back. So if you like this, if you got some value out of it, if you learned something, if you were entertained, do us a favor. Go ahead and share this content with somebody else that could also learn and grow from it. You never know. It might be the one thing that they need for them to make a change in their life. Takes 60 seconds to rate, review, subscribe, and share, but it means the world to both Jennifer and I that you do that. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time, we'll see you.